Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Mr. President. Mr. President, your bicameral conference committee presents the reconciliation of the Senate amendments to the 2018 GAB and the House approved GAB, and we're honored to report back to the Senate the reconciled version. The committee report we are submitting embodied all agreements arrived at by both chairpersons. And may I read into the record highlights? Department of Education, we restored the 16 billion cut on the school buildings by internally realigning funds of the Department of Education. We also realigned the budget of DepEd to fund the insurance of school buildings under the NDREAM funds and increased the cash allowance of teachers from 2,500 to 1,500. The Department of Agriculture, we effected internal realignment within the Department of Agriculture to ensure that funds will be utilized by realigning it to items of expenditure that are fast-moving. State universities and colleges were allocated more funds for their capital outlay. The Department of Finance, we have provided 1.493 billion pesos for the Bureau of Customs for the purchase of X-ray machines and introduce a special provision to expand custom inspection to include bulk inspection and containerized van. The Department of Foreign Affairs, additional funds will be used for the establishment of new foreign service posts and operating requirements of existing foreign posts. The Department of Health budget increase is due to additional funds for medical assistance program for indigent patients, additional medicine for cancer patients, and health facilities enhancement program. Also introduced a special provision prohibiting the purchase of dengue vaccines. The Department of Information and Communication Technology, there's an internal realignment that was effected to provide free Wi-Fi for all state universities and colleges. In the Department of Interior and Local Government, we've deleted the allocation for Masa Masid, but provided funds for the MOE of police precincts. We're also allocating 334 million for body cameras and 100 million for CCTV. Internal Affairs IS Service will also get 70 million as additional fund to ensure that they have sufficient funds to conduct an investigation on erring policemen. We're also providing 451 million for the purchase of 2 helicopters. Department of Justice funds for DOJ will be for the purchase of equipment and construction of a building to house their prosecutors, construction of regional prison facilities for the Bureau, an increase in the hazard pay of NBI agents from 2,000 to 4,000. Department of National Defense, we're also providing funds for the construction, repair of barracks, establishment of hospital in Mindanao for veterans, construction of academic buildings for NDC, and we're also beefing up the intelligence capacity of the military. For the Department of Public Works and Highways, we've increased the budget for local road infrastructure. For the Department of Social Welfare and Development, we are restoring the 1 billion cut on the administrative cost to implement the tax reform cash transfer project. Make the DSWD operated centers respectable, we've allocated 2 billion for the repair, reconstruction, construction of DSWD centers, including the purchase of welfare goods. We've also allocated additional 80 million for the construction of facilities for children in conflict with the law. For other executive offices, we're providing funds for the cultural activities of NCCA proper. We disagree with the DBM's proposal to charge the cultural activities of NCCA to its endowment fund. TESDA's budget was also increased for its quality technical education and skills development program. As a lead agency of the campaign against drugs, we allocated additional 1.2 billion to PIA. This will help expand its operation and construction of regional and provincial offices. For the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao, the increase is due to the transfer of the OPAP's capital outlay from Mindanao to ARM. This also particularly explains the reduction in the OPAP budget. Judiciary. Increase in the judiciary will be used for the construction of halls of justice and capital outlays of various courts. Constitutional offices were funding the ISAL-N project and whistleblower account of the Ombudsman, while the Civil Service Commission and the Commission on Audit will get additional capital outlays. The Commission on Human Rights will also receive additional operating budget. PhilHealth, we're allocating 3.5 billion for government employees' hospitalization benefits under the point of service scheme. You will recall, Mr. President, that those in the executive department, unlike the legislature, don't have a comprehensive healthcare program. National Housing Authority, the housing program of the military and uniformed personnel, will get additional fund of 950. And we make sure the consultation has to be made before the NHA constructs the MUP housing by introducing a special provision. We increase the MPBF in anticipation of the adjustment of the salaries of the military and uniformed personnel. We reduced pension and gratuity and LGSF to fund the above increase. The QRF budget of various agencies which was originally lodged under the NDREAM fund were transferred to the implementing agencies. That's just a summary of the changes, and I have here in front of me the conference committee.
Party Leader. Senator Lacson, Special of Senator Lacson.
President, with your indulgence, I have some manifestations and a few clarificatory questions. During the organizational meeting of the Bicameral Conference Committee at the Batasan Complex last November 30, I made a manifestation that when we appoint a small group BICAM, which we did, the output of that small group BICAM should be, copy should be provided to the members for us to study, scrutinize for at least 24 hours. We received the BICAM report, the draft report, because it has to be ratified yet, yesterday afternoon at 5 p.m. And what we received are actually summaries of appropriations in lump sum numbers, including amendments in the general and special provisions. And that's the reason why I did not attend, or I was not able to attend the Bicameral Conference Committee held in the Senate at 1:30 this afternoon, because I was still studying the report of the small group BICAM. And for good reason, Mr. President, because during the period of interpellations, as well as the period of individual amendments, I introduced several amendments which were adopted by the body. And I wanted to be sure, and this mostly consists of right-of-way. In the advent of the investigation being conducted by the Committee of Senator Pacquiao, Committee on Public Works and Blue Ribbon Committee, I deemed it wise to monitor what happened to the individual amendments that I introduced and which were adopted. And I found out that under the Department of Public Works and Highways, all the amendments that I introduced were restored, and an additional 11,089,672,672,000 pesos was added to the budget of the DPWH. Now, I want to find out the details of the 11 billion plus the 50.7 billion that was slashed in plenary during the during the introduction of individual amendments, plus the 18 billion for flood management program, which we requested DPWH to submit to us the details of the right-of-way component. Monday, December 4, we met with Secretary Villar and some members of the DPWH staff, along with Senators Subiri and Villar, of course with the chairperson of the Committee on Finance. And I asked them if they are ready at that moment to submit the right-of-way component of the 50.7 billion, because what they submitted was the 11 billion peso right-of-way component with no list of claimants. The only lump sum amount of ROW submitted to us consists of 49 billion pesos with the list of claimants. And that we decided not to pursue anymore, in spite of the fact that there are John Does and unknowns in the amount of, in the list of claimants in the amount of 164 million pesos, because that's another issue altogether. Now, I'm looking for the 18 billion pesos. They submitted just the ROW component in that amount, but there is no list submitted. So the reason given is that it is wise and it is more practical if they would start the project while they're settling the right-of-way issues. My contention is that, and I have a legal basis for that, Mr. President, because precisely on page 1154 of the 2018 General Appropriations Bill, General Provision number 12, and I would like to quote for the record, right-of-way acquisition and obligations. In the implementation of infrastructure projects, the DPWH shall ensure that all ROW expenses authorized under RA number 10752 are settled before commencement of projects. The amount appropriated herein shall be used exclusively for ROW expenses and other contractual obligations of the DPWH. Release of funds shall be subject to the submission of the list of claimants with the corresponding projects and amounts certified correct by the DPWH and a special budget pursuant to Section 35, Chapter 5, Book 6 of EO number 292. And this was followed up by a Department Order 124, series of 2017, released just last October 9, 2017. Secretary Villar, the incumbent Secretary of DPWH, issued this department order, and under Section 2.3 of the said manual, it is stated, adequate funds should be provided for the conduct of the parcellary survey out of the applicable ROW appropriations. As mentioned in Section 2.22 of the DRAM, the RAM is DPWH ROW Acquisition Manual. Such ROW appropriations should preferably be provided separate from and at least 1 year ahead of the civil works appropriations to avoid delays in project implementation. This will enable the implementing office to undertake the parcellary survey 1 year or more in advance of the scheduled construction works. Now, Mr. President, in one of the TV interviews, the House Appropriations Committee Chair, Carlo Nograles, mentioned that, and he stated that what I wanted, what Senator Lacson wanted was settle first the ROW issues before civil works project or the project shall commence. It is not what I wanted or what I want, Mr. President. It is the law. It is very clear in the law, as stated in the general provisions and restated under the department order in the manual, that indeed road right-of-way should be settled first 1 year before the project should commence. And, I went further, Mr. President. I tasked my staff to do a case study on the matter of ROW. And they found the Sariaya bypass road. This project was funded in 2014 in the amount of 100 billion, 2015, 166 billion, 2016, 200 billion. Natapos po yung project. Ang total amount ito, 466. Okay. Natapos po yung 4-lane highway, bypass road. Pero may kasamang 3 tulay. Hanggang ngayon, tapos na po yung project ng 2016. Hindi magamit yung kalsada kasi yung 3 tulay, hindi masettle yung right-of-way. But it was funded. It was some of the appropriations were even obligated. Pero still, hindi nagagawa yung tulay. So, white elephant yung 4-lane road, yung Sariaya bypass road. So, just to underscore the necessity or the importance of settling first the ROW, I really was fighting hard to insist that right-of-way issues should be settled first before civil works shall commence. Now, I'll go back to my original question. Saan po yung detalye noong 11 billion na nadagdag pa? Kasi ang House version, House Bill 6215, 626 billion, 774 million, 811. When I introduced my amendments, nabawasan po ito, parang nasa mga 598 billion na lamang, yung sa Senate version. And na-restore po lahat yon. And on top of that, nadagdagan pa ng 11 billion. No, hindi na po ako interesado doon sa 50.7 billion dahil nagsabit naman yung DPWH ng component, ROW component, even without the list of claimants. I will tackle that during the budget deliberation of the 2019 General Appropriations Bill. That could come later. But I am interested in finding out bakit nadagdagan pa ng 11 billion? Kani-kanino po mga projects yun, Mr. President?
Thank you for your long question. I understand that the good senator wants me to give the list of the 11.09 billion increase in the DPWH budget. Yes, it's presently being done, as you can see, up to last night. We are working early this morning, and according to LB Remo, she would have to reconcile it with the House, and we will give it in detail to the senator by next week.
By next week.
The detailed breakdown of the 11.09 billion.
I can live with that, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I cannot memorize the 11.09, but we will give you, we promise you, we will give you the breakdown of that infrastructure list.
Before I came down, I promised myself to be kinder to you, Mr. President.
That's a great Christmas gift.
So anyway, that's my manifestation, Mr. President, and I hope during the deliberation of the 2019 budget, I will be assisted in tackling this particular issue. This is a nagging issue, and and rightly so, because we're wasting a lot of money. 8.7 billion only in Region 12. Yan yung inimbestigahan ng committee ni Senator Pacquiao. Napunta sa mga fake titles. And that's only Region 12. And it constitutes, according to the report that we received, 60% of the total scam, the total amount na napunta lang doon sa mga sindikato. Mga fake land titles, tapos may consolidators, and of course, commissions are changing hands process. And we are, we have the so-called power of the purse, maski myth lang yun, maski hindi naman talaga totoo. But we really need to be on guard when we tackle the General Appropriations Bill, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me just assure the good gentleman that the 11.098 billion will be submitted to him, and it will be broken down line by line per project. It's not a lump sum. It's just that we've not had sleep, and both the House and the Senate are consolidating everything, and within a week before Christmas, yes, before the break, we will submit, yes, in full transparency, we will give it to Senator Lacson, and this is not a lump sum, just to be very clear about it. In the Public Works budget, it's a line-by-line breakdown of all infrastructure in the DPWH budget. And just so that the body knows, up to Sunday evening, Secretary Jokno, Attorney Doblon, Secretary Mark Villar, and I, we were working till Sunday night. And even Cecile, the head of the LB Rango in the House, we have not slept for how many weeks. And they're finishing theirs. We actually have the Senate version, but I want to submit it complete, the whole 11 billion. This is not a lump sum. We will submit it line by line, project per project.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, the Minority Leader wishes to be recognized.
Minority Leader is recognized.
Mr. President, just one question. When the budget was being deliberated in the Senate, we raised the issue of Operation Tukang being budgeted for 900 million, if I recall correctly, and Masid or something? Masid. Another 500. We had raised the issue of these items in the budget being no longer necessary, as the President has transferred the anti-drug war to PIDEA. And we had proposed that since the PNP personnel were only allocated 450 houses, and the need was for a few thousands, that at least the amount of 1.4 billion be aligned for the housing of the policemen.